First of all, thank you for being here. I was excited to have you. It's funny because when we met at what event was that? What is the name of it?
Girl,
I can't. So
I Biomi Village.
yes, yes. So when we met at Abiomi Village, and then we talked for a little bit. We didn't really get to talk that long because we had people coming and going.
Hmm.
You were booked. You had people coming
Yes.
in. So yeah, I was super excited, and I'm finally happy that we are getting an opportunity to talk. So yes, welcome to HerSpace on Cue. Um, yeah, this is my talk show where I work with women, talk to women, hear their stories, but also, just meet with women who have information to share with other women, other people in general, of course. But my show is really tailored to, women. That's my audience. So I just am so grateful to have you here, and I'm so happy to meet you. And I'm sure that your services will be great in my life as well. So I'm excited for the information that you will be sharing with us today. Absolutely. So could you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people who you are?
Yes, everyone. My name
Mhm.
is BreAnna Bassett. I am a licensed master social worker, but I'm also a certified financial social worker. So
Mhm.
that qualifies me to help people with money and their mental health. I
Wow.
am the owner of Conscious Choices Therapy. It is a private
Mhm.
practice in Detroit, Michigan, where we do one-on-one therapy and we do some group education for domestic violence offenders.
Wow.
So,
That's
yes,
so
I'm glad to be
exciting.
here.
Yeah, that's so exciting. That's so dope. How did you get into financial coaching and how like therapy? That's interesting. How did you get into that?
All right. So
Yes.
I became a social worker very young, very young. I've been in the field of social work for about 10 years now. But
Okay.
I actually graduated with my bachelor's when I was like 20. I wasn't even 21 yet.
Wow. Okay. Wow. You started early.
Yes, yes, I did. Yes. And
Yeah.
then I took a year off. I went and got my master's in social work. I
Okay.
did the fast track. That's not really what they call it at Wayne State, but in
Okay.
my eyes, from a student standpoint, it was lesser time than
Hmm.
their traditional program. So I got my master's in a year. And ever since
Okay.
then, I've just been practicing. But
Wow.
specifically, getting into financial social work, it was my personal story. It was my personal journey in learning how to manage money with my husband and manage
Yeah.
money as a married couple. And
Mm.
that's what led me to getting into financial social work, healing my
Wow.
relationship with money.
I love that so much. So, did you learn any of this, or more about money as a child or in teenage years? Were your parents teaching you this? Like,
Oh, that's a good question. Ain't nobody
yeah,
ever really asked me
really? Oh,
that.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, okay. Money in my childhood.
Hmm.
I was raised by a single mother.
Okay.
So I learned a lot from her about work ethic, right? And being
Mm,
committed to what you say you're gonna do.
absolutely.
So I would say from her, I learned how to work hard. And now that I'm older, I'm learning how to work a little bit smarter,
Yeah. Okay.
But that, we could definitely talk more about that. But yes, in
Absolutely.
childhood, girl, we honestly, we were raised in poverty. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay.
Like, we weren't
Yeah.
to the point where we qualify for like good fellow boxes and stuff,
Hmm.
but we definitely had Medicaid, my child. We
Yeah.
definitely had food stamps every now and
Hmm.
again. So yeah, I learned about money. I would say I learned more about how to earn money as a child versus how to
Mm.
manage it or even save it.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, that's good. I feel like that's kind of like common. Most parents, not most, but the parents who do teach their children about money, it usually is like, okay, well, you need to earn it. But then we don't learn the management. So for you, what sparked you? Because you said there is part of your story, like part of your own personal experiences. What can you share with us about your personal experiences that was like, oh, I got to learn how to manage it. I know how to earn it, but I got to know how to manage it.
yes, okay.
Yeah.
So, hubby and I, back when we were dating, we
Hmm.
decided that we would move in together.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of us figuring out money together. It was
Mm-hmm.
us living together and figuring out how do we cover this rent? How do we make sure we're
Mm-hmm.
covering groceries? So there was a period in time where we had a lot of housing instability. Now, that really was my turning point where I was like, okay, I love this man. I want to be with him, but we got different money values. We got different money
Mm-hmm.
goals, and homelessness is not
Ain't
part of this.
it?
That's not part of the
Yeah, that's not
deal.
it. Yeah,
So it was
absolutely.
at that point where I was like, okay, how can I communicate better with my husband so that we can stop having money issues? And then it was like, okay, what can I
Mm,
control, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I literally took a step back from trying to change him and who he was with money to
Mm,
just really honing in to myself and getting back to my self-care because just
yeah.
a disclaimer, I don't want to trigger anybody,
Okay.
but I did suffer with SI, suicidal
Okay.
ideation. Yes,
Mm.
because it was a lot, having your
Wow.
master's in social work, being married. I had a baby on the way.
Wow.
We were living with my mom. Girl, we had our dog. Girl, it was like,
Wow.
this
Yeah,
ain't what I really signed up for.
absolutely. And how old were you at this point?
Yeah, I had just graduated
Okay.
with my master's. Yep, I had
Okay.
just
Okay.
graduated with my master's. So
Wow.
21,
Okay.
22.
Wow, but so young, you know what I'm saying? And to have accomplished so much in that amount of time. And then you're like, but the suicidal ideation still crept in because you're like, this is not where I want us to be right now.
100%.
Yeah.
So, I just had to really figure out what did health look like? What did wellness look like?
Mm,
What did getting out of debt look like?
mm,
And I took more control over the bills that I was responsible for when it came to us getting out of debt. And then
mm.
when he had his bills that he was responsible for, I was like, okay, honey, you deal with those. And I did not get any more debt with my husband.
Wow.
So yeah, I know
Mm,
I can't. I know it. Some people might look at it like, "Oh, you betrayed your husband. You didn't want to, manage
mm.
money with him as a team." But that's not what it was, y'all. That's not what it was.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's just this point where you realize, like you said before, you can't control anybody else. And like, even though like I can't keep looking to him to be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You had to be
Mhm.
more of the driver about this and lead y'all into the financial aspect for yourself and for your family ultimately. So I don't look at that as a bad thing. I know some people, but they probably don't know what they're
Yeah.
talking about. But
Right.
but I think that's really brave and courageous. It's a leadership type decision that you made.
hmm
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, Jakita,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I used to think something was wrong with me. Like when we
Mm.
was going through that struggle, I was like, well, maybe, I'm just expecting too much. Like maybe
Mhm.
I was having a lot of thoughts. I'm like, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe it's
Wow.
me. So I ended up, again, just taking back my control by focusing on the bills I had to be responsible
Mhm.
for, letting him control what he had to deal with. Um,
Good.
ew, so sorry, I done lost my point, so I'll let you
Oh,
go
it's
to the
okay.
next one.
No, no, it's okay. Yeah, I was just because we were just talking about just like the management of the money and like how you and then your personal story, and then you were saying like just in terms of you being at that age and you still were like this is hard, but you had accomplished so much at that time, and then still going through figuring out okay, well, how do I get to this point? How do I manage the money? So then you were at that point, you were like, I know because I feel it in my body that things are not right. I wanted to do something different and I wanted to make better choices. So did you start researching like about money because you said you wanted to be better in health and in wealth and wellness and money. Did you start researching and then you was just like, okay, cool. There's a such thing as financial um social work. I think that's really cool.
Okay, so I was not doing any research. So
Okay.
how I got out of my rut was I started leaning more on the Lord.
Okay.
Um, there is a man I want to mention. I can't think of his name right now, but
Mhm.
he's a pastor. He do a lot of YouTube videos for women,
Wow. Okay.
related to marriage and and femininity.
Mm-hmm.
But one day I was listening to his podcast. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't working at the time because my mental health had gotten so bad from us being in debt and things. I kind of had gave up, because to take it back to the very beginning of my story, I was the main breadwinner, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And my husband, he was working for Ford part-time temporary. Now, I'm not sure if you remember this, but
Mm-hmm.
in the Metro Detroit area, like 6, 7 years ago, there was a young man who actually died by suicide
Oh, wow.
because he was a temporary part-time employee at Chrysler and at Ford.
Mm.
So my husband was caught up in that same contract cycle
Okay.
to where he didn't get any benefits, he didn't get any profit sharing checks, he
Oh,
didn't have any consistent hours every week. Like he was coming home early like every day. So
wow.
yeah, so that
Okay.
was a part of his financial struggle. So 100% transparency as well.
Mm-hmm.
My husband had a felony, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love my man. He made a
Absolutely.
mistake when he
Okay.
was younger.
That's okay. That's okay. That don't mean the totality of who he is.
Yes, I thank you
Yeah.
for that. Yes.
Yeah, no
But,
problem. Hmm.
that was one of his issues with securing a higher wage, an
Yeah.
employment with higher wages. So he
Hmm.
stuck it out. He's still at Ford. He's a team leader now. He loves his job. Full check. The man working so much I can't even have him at home. So that's another
Oh.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
But back then, it was like I'm the main breadwinner. Like you said, I'm so young. I
Mhm.
had a kid. Just trying to figure out what stability looks like. And then on top of that, our communication wasn't good when it came to
Mhm.
money. Like it was always ending in us like getting mad at each other. Like, oh, you don't see my side. Oh, you just want
Mhm.
things to change so quickly. And it's like, no, I just want a little relief.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Yes.
yeah. But
Yeah.
again, I had to lean on the Lord. So
Mhm.
going back to the pastor and YouTube, it was one day in particular where I wasn't working no more because my mental health I got
Mhm.
so bad. And honestly, it was kind of like me taking back my power with my husband when it came to our
Absolutely.
finances. I was like, you know what? I'm the main breadwinner. I'm really overworking myself and I'm sacrificing
Mm.
myself a little too much. So you know what? I'm not working at all. But
Absolutely.
that really wasn't
Done.
the smartest decision.
Right. You're like, I'm done. No, just
I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get
it's
into that in a
okay.
minute. That was not the smartest decision,
Right,
okay? Because
right, right.
girl, you still got to provide for yourself, okay?
Absolutely. You went from one extreme and you say, I'm gonna just cut it all off.
Girl,
It's
yes,
okay. We
that's the
live and we
truth,
learn.
though. Exactly. Yes, clock
Yeah.
it.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
I'm listening to this pastor, and he had mentioned something about a woman with a clean home.
Mm.
And I looked around my bedroom and I was like, oh, let me get up. I was like, let me get these clothes up off the floor.
You were
It
inspired.
that
Yeah.
would you say that again?
I said you were inspired. You're like, wait, hold up. Let me get this up. Yeah.
Yes, he
Yeah.
he did that. That one word.
Mm.
I was like, okay, you're right.
Mhm.
So I know I'm all over the place, but stay with me.
Are
Stay
you
with
okay?
me.
Yeah, I got you.
So my feminine energy at that
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
I had lost myself, right? Like I wasn't working, didn't have no income. I wasn't going shopping, buying myself new
Mm.
clothes. I wasn't getting my hair done, nails done, wasn't investing in self-care, none of that. Girl,
Mm.
it was so bad. My grandmother pulled out her wig bag and gave me
Oh
some wigs and was
no.
like,
Are
baby
you?
girl. I'm so
She said, I see you falling on hard times. Here you go. No, she did not. She was caring. She paid attention though.
serious.
She
Baby,
did.
yes. Grandma was there for her baby and I didn't
She
even
was.
realize. I didn't even
Abs-
realize.
Absolutely.
So So that was one thing. I was like, okay, all right. If for my grandma to pull out her wig bag, maybe I need to like stop being so sad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. So I went from one extreme to the next, wasn't taking care of myself, and then I ended up getting a job to where it was remote. I was like, okay, I can
Oh,
do remote work. My mental health is good
yeah.
enough to do some remote work. So I finally got some income. Um
Mhm.
at this point, we're stable, right? We're living in our own apartment and things of that nature, but we kept paying our rent late. So when it
Mm.
came to renew our lease, they were like, nah, we're not renewing y'all lease. Y'all habitually
Oh.
late and all of that. Ended up back at my mama house. Back at
Wow.
my mama's house
Okay.
with my baby. With my
Yeah.
baby. He was like 2 or 3, I can't remember. But he was
Hmm.
young. He hadn't started kindergarten yet. So
Okay.
the thing about it is my mom didn't let my husband come. And I was
Mhm.
like okay with that because again, we still did not have a lot of unity
Mm.
or alignment, if you will, when it came to our finances.
Okay.
So I feel like that was a much needed separation for us,
Mhm.
even though it wasn't planned.
Of course.
It was definitely needed though for us to both get I feel
Mhm.
like a reality check, if you will. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Okay.
thank you, girl,
Yeah.
for letting me get that off.
No, yeah, no problem. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, because that's, really transparent of you to share that. I feel like especially in the line of work that we do, oftentimes people don't realize we are into what we are into helping people with that because of the things that we went through. So for you to share your experience in that way and it to be that deep for you, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it'll allow people to see like, oh, she really been through this. Like she really understands. And so I think yeah, thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. That's major. And so it's interesting too you know, how families, especially Black families, how we look at men and um their obligation to provide. Like, how it's
Yes.
like a stigma for men to provide, and if they don't, then not saying like what your mom did was like bad, like okay, she didn't let your husband come stay, but I feel like I've heard that before where they're like, well, he need to go and do his own thing, and get y'all back in a place. I guess the point of it is to let him, go out there and work and do whatever he needs to do to get his family taken care of. And so it's interesting because I mean that could be both the pro and the con in terms of the support for men. Like, when we fall on hard times, is that on me as a man? Like, is it just my responsibility to get this together? But I also understand like the experiences that we have, the things that we go through is also to grow us. And I'm sure maybe, I don't know yet, but like that, like you said, it seems like you and your husband are in a better place now. And I'm sure that you probably led him to be like, we good now. So I'm interested to know what was the turning point? Like, what's the first changes you started making in terms of making, like, improving your own finances?
Okay, yes. So first off, I started
Mhm.
telling my husband, like, babe, you gotta listen to me.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I'm not just coming out of nowhere with this. Like,
Okay.
I got some experience. I know a little something.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what I would say about our partnership and money is how I mentioned at the beginning of our recording. Some people qualify for Goodfellow boxes versus some people just qualify for medicated food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
My husband is that child that used to get a Goodfellow box.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came to money and our partnership, I didn't know that our mindsets were so different. Like I didn't understand it. I didn't think that it would be so hard for us to get on the same page.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
through it all, we
Hmm.
have gotten on the same page. And honestly, I would say the turning point where I was like comfortable and feeling safe
Hmm.
and feeling like, okay, I can trust my man to provide
Yeah.
is like within the last couple of years.
Okay.
When he had, stable income, he had become full-time at Ford. And he was like, I'm ready. He's like, I'm really
Nice.
ready to make a change. He's like, he wanted his family back.
Of course.
He was tired of living separate.
Hmm.
So, I definitely had to let him feel it, I would say. I had to let
Yeah.
him feel it because I didn't want to say yes,
Yeah.
because I had did that before, and he disappointed me. And I'm
Mm.
like, I can't keep being disappointed, babe. Like I love
Hmm.
you, but it's to the point of my teachings, like how I teach my one-on-one clients. You cannot self-sacrifice yourself so much to where you lose your
Mm.
identity
Mm.
because that's not a relationship, that's not partnership, that's codependence, and that's not
Mm.
fair. That's
Absolutely.
not
That
fair
was
in love.
deep. Yeah. I love that. I love that. That's so interesting because, finances is the number one thing, one of the top things that call lead to divorce for most
Yeah.
couples and cause a lot of conflict in relationships. And so it's interesting because a lot of people don't, when you do start partnership, we're not talking about money. I mean, you look at
Yes.
people and you look at what are you earning, but we don't
Yep.
look at management all the time. And so
Yes.
and we don't look at the debt and all of these things. So, I mean, I think the beginning of y'all story is like most of us, right? We get into a partnership, we don't really talk about it. Our mindsets maybe differently. And so we're trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we get to this place of stability in our finances? And it's interesting because sometimes it flip-flops. Sometimes it's the man,
Hmm.
sometimes it's the woman. But it's interesting
Hmm.
because when it's the woman, it is a little bit more difficult to get the man on board because I feel like
Hmm.
not saying that men don't listen to us about finances, but I think they see a different thing. And so they're
Hmm.
like, maybe it's pride, maybe it's ego,
Yeah.
maybe it's just their lack of knowledge about it. So their way is like, we just need to get money and then we'll figure out how to make it better. But it's
Yeah.
like, you have to learn sometimes now before you even get that money, what to do with it before it
Yeah.
comes and what things you could do now to help yourself.
That is so real. And it takes me back to the point I had lost earlier of the
Okay,
leadership.
absolutely. Yes,
Yes.
yes. Hmm.
So, you had mentioned earlier, like my actions were that of a leader. And
Hmm.
the point I was trying to make was I ended up taking a test, a
Okay.
strengths-based test.
Okay.
And the result of that test showed that I do think differently. Like I'll share my results with you
Please
off
do.
off
Yeah.
camera, yeah. But
Absolutely.
for anybody interested, it is the
Hmm.
Clifton Strengths Finder test, and
Nice.
I did that through a business coaching program because she was trying to teach me how to like think about my business ownership and leadership and things.
Yeah.
But that test revealed that I like to think out solutions in a logical order. um
Mm.
it revealed a lot of things that just clicked, and it was like, oh,
Wow.
that's why when I was telling my husband we need to do
Mhm.
X, Y, and Z, he couldn't understand because I literally just think different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if
That's
that's your
interesting.
strength, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. I love that though. I feel like I love personal awareness type things where it, gives us more insight into who we are because look at you being so self-aware that you're understanding why I'm not picking up what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
what are we missing? And understanding like, okay, well, how can I utilize that to improve the communication that we have in general, but it's especially about finances and money. Like where are we having a mismatch?
100%. And
Yeah.
I'm just grateful that now it's not like that. We have
Yeah.
money meetings, we have money dates.
Mm.
Things are paid early now. I'm so grateful
Okay.
for that. It's not just all
Absolutely.
this debt we living in. And
Yeah.
we're not living check to check no more. And I think
Abs
that's like one of the greatest things about it.
Oh man, that's so peaceful. It's so funny that I feel like for women, money, like stability financially brings about peace in your body. It just feels
Mhm.
different in your life. It's like I'm not stressing. I can't really see a lot of, and I know it's the same thing for men too, but it's like I don't think people understand how much it affects women as well because we're mothers, but we're providers as well. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to have all the things, and especially when you're nurturing and you see all the things that you want your family to have, the type of life you want them to have. It's like we grow homes, we grow families, and so we also have ideas about where we need to be and we know what resources we need to get there. So
Yeah.
I love that you're talking about money, especially, being a woman. Like this is dope.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're welcome.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Like, we're caretakers and we're
Hmm.
problem solvers
Hmm.
because I think that was what I was so preoccupied with when we were having the thick of our struggle was
Yeah.
I know there's a solution. I know we can reach the solution, but we have to do it together.
Yeah.
And that's what was breaking me. It's like, oh my goodness, this is supposed to be a together thing. Like, what's wrong?
Hmm.
Like, what's wrong here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, living through that, I'm grateful for God's, blessings
Hmm.
for getting me through that, for letting that be one of my lessons. 'Cause yeah, I look at it not really trying to compare to other couples, but I see the struggle other couples have, and I'm like, our money struggles really ain't that bad, if you look
Yeah,
at, some of the struggles other people
absolutely.
have. So,
Hmm.
yes, I'm grateful. I'm
Yeah,
grateful that we're in a better place now.
that's beautiful. I love that. I love to hear that. Absolutely. So then tell us where, so you get people that come to you for financial coaching or therapy, right? Is it financial therapy? Like money
So,
or
just to
coaching?
be clear,
Mm-hmm.
it's financial coaching
Uh-huh.
because y'all health
We
insurance
know.
companies don't want to pay for financial therapy.
We know.
so,
We know. Unfortunately.
so it's financial
Even though
coaching.
it's like a big stressor, like, and it causes
Yeah.
depression and anxiety, I feel like it should really be something that's covered by insurances. It makes no sense. So,
Yeah, but the thing about it is, I like to talk to my clients that come to me on an individual basis
mhm.
about it because, again, if they do have a diagnosable mental health concern, the
Mhm.
conversation is different.
Okay.
If they're not really having any mental health concerns that are diagnosable
Mhm.
as a result of their financial stress, then we
You go
looking
to
more to
coaching.
coaching. So I
Okay.
definitely like to deal with it on a case by case basis.
Nice.
But I would say for sure majority of my clients that I help with their
Mhm.
money, they are coaching clients and
Mhm.
they pay me on a payment plan. So I'm here for
Nice.
it. I'm here to help.
I love that. I love that. When I seen what you were offering when we were at Abiomi, I was just so excited because it was something different that even I hadn't heard about financial
Yeah.
coaching. And of course, they have financial advisors, but you're a therapist and you
hmm
also, are looking at how money impacts people in their life, their mental health and their wellness. So can you tell me from your work, like, what have you seen in terms of how money is showing up in people's lives, how it's impacting them both positively and negatively?
Yeah. I would say more on the positive side. When my
Hmm.
clients finally learn how to manage money independently or even with their
Hmm.
partner, I can see it in their face.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
They be much happier. They be lighter.
absolutely.
Um, they feel more at peace, like you said.
Yeah.
Because the financial stress definitely shows up in your body.
Hmm.
I've talked about this on different platforms and podcasts I've done, but
Mm.
my financial stress showed up in my body as TMJD.
Wow.
So yeah, I do a lot of somatic healing with my clients through one-on-one coaching when it comes to healing their financial stress.
Hmm.
So yeah, right. On the positive side, once you're healed, once your money
Hmm.
relationship is healed,
Hmm.
of course, you're happier, you're healthier, you're doing more with your kids, you're doing more with your
Hmm.
family. They're better able to manage their guilt when it comes to
Hmm.
saying no to other family members that were once dependent on them for money.
Yeah.
Definitely love when my clients increase their financial
Hmm.
boundaries and when they, oh
Oh,
my goodness,
yes.
when they're able to make investments after being in debt. Oh,
Yeah.
that just really makes me feel so good.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure.
But on the more, I would say, unhealthy side, it's kind of how I mentioned earlier, the suicidal ideation, right?
Hmm.
From a therapist standpoint, somebody that's dealing with bipolar too, right? They may have a manic episode to where they're
Hmm.
making unhealthy financial choices. They're probably blowing through their money and not
Hmm.
paying their rent. They're not keeping up with financial obligations.
Hmm.
That's one end of it. I would say depression can come about from chronic financial stress. That could look like how it showed up for me. Not going to work, deciding, okay, well, whatever, pretty much careless when it comes
Yeah,
to the change, right? I was a little
absolutely.
hopeless, but I would say the number one protective factor for me when it
Mm.
came to healing my suicidal ideation was being a mom.
Mm.
That's literally the number one protective factor for women who are
Yeah,
at risk of suicidal ideation is their kids.
absolutely.
So very grateful that my baby
Mm.
was around and, to
I
keep me
know that's
grounded.
right. Hmm. I know that is so important. It really is. It's interesting because I see a lot of women who do have depression and who are struggling. A lot of I also have clients who are single moms, and they're trying to balance their finances and trying to manage all the things with the kids. Sometimes I see some of my
Mhm.
clients and they're trying to keep their kids in all the sports and all the things, and that's costing them so much, but yet they're working 40 hours and overtime and they're doing all the things to try to keep up, but they're stressed out because, they're doing too many things to try to keep up with making sure that they have a better life, but they're kind of in a stuck point because they're trying to also provide all the things for their kids and make sure their
Hmm.
kids don't miss out on anything. Do you
Yep.
see that often where people are trying to like keep up and make sure that their kids don't miss out on anything, so they're making maybe poor financial choices?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And
Mm.
not even just with my clients, but in the Black community.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Friends, cousins, fat girl,
Mm-hmm.
yes. It was one Christmas, we were hanging out at a friend's house, and
Mm-hmm.
the mom ended up telling me randomly, like, oh yeah, girl, I'm real broke right now. I bought that Nintendo Switch he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I bought X, Y, and Z, this, that, and the third. And she was like, telling me she didn't have money to like, it was going out to eat or something. I was
Yeah.
like, I was trying to hang out with her or something like that. And she was like, girl, I ain't got no money right now. Like, we got them kids everything they
Wow.
wanted for Christmas. And okay, somebody gonna get mad at me for saying this, but I don't care.
It'll be all
Listen.
right. Yes. We're here to
Your
learn.
kids don't need no whole bunch of stuff for Christmas. Like, my
Absolutely.
mom did that. We were
Mm.
spoiled. Baby, I remember Christmases waking up in the middle of the night in the living room packed. You can't even really walk into the living room because the living room is full of stuff. So I didn't been there, right? And I've seen it. And even when my mom spoiled us like that, girl, I don't remember playing with them toys. I don't know where them toys was 2 weeks
Absolutely.
later. And it was,
Yes.
this is very significant. This is like one of my core memories around
Mm.
money.
Yeah.
Christmas had just happened, right? And I had went to my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm so bored. What we gonna do today? And she was like, Well, baby, I just spent all my money on you for Christmas. And I'm
Mm.
like, but I'm bored. Like,
Wow. That's like the poster statement of children, like, and why you don't need to do too much.
exactly.
Yeah.
And mind you, she's a single mom. She
Yeah.
was a nurse. She worked a lot of overtime. So for her, it was super gratifying buying us these toys and things. But I just feel like she didn't understand, like, okay,
Mm.
mama, you need to get us outside. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need all this technology and stuff. We don't need this $250 cable that you paying for plus the internet. Like,
Okay.
yeah, it's you gotta have a balance. I would say you gotta have a balance of providing for your kids, but also investing in, like you say, their sports activities. It's investing in spending time with them,
Mm.
investing in toys and games you can do as a family.
Yeah.
In Michigan, in the Midwest, you need to try to invest in some indoor activities because this
That's
weather, you
okay.
will go crazy. You will go crazy being
You
stuck in the house with
would,
these
girl. Okay. Like, what is happening? Yeah.
If you have time too for me to mention one more core
Go
memory,
ahead. Absolutely. We have time.
girl, my mom, I don't know why this is coming up, but I remember growing up,
Mhm.
she was crying one time because she was like, I really just like being able to buy y'all the name brand food. She was
Oh,
like, I don't like buying y'all off brand peanut butter and jelly.
wow. Oh,
Like,
mommy.
right, my mommy.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it
Yeah.
now like, yeah, she
Girl.
really was going through something.
Oh, right. But you know what? It's so interesting because especially when you're a single mom, you do
Mhm,
look at your children and you think about the things that they don't have because you're
mhm,
doing this by yourself. And I do think that there's this subconscious
mhm,
expectation and pressure on ourselves. Like, I'm not a single mom, but I did have my daughter. My oldest daughter was by somebody else. And so I was navigating that for just a few years before my husband came. But it's just like, I understand like wanting to um, give your child everything so that they don't miss out on anything and then so that they don't feel that. So you do start to
yeah.
like put this pressure on yourself. And then when like normal things that maybe even families with two parents have, like issues that they have, I feel like as a single mom, you see them magnified. You feel like they start to become a part of your failure. You're like, I'm failing, or become a part of your deficit or the things that you're not able to provide, versus looking at the fact that you're providing something so beautiful to your children, and that some of the things that you're stressing about not being able to do is a lot of people experiencing that, and not just because you're a single mom, but because
Yeah.
the economy is crazy, or the way that we're working.
Yeah, so you can be a high earner and still struggle with money management. A lot of
Mm,
time people think you're only struggling with money management because you're not making enough. But
mm,
I've seen it on both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So that's where your money values really come in. Whether you're single, dating, or in a committed relationship, if you're partnered, you still
Hmm.
have to base your money behavior and your money decisions off your money values and your money
Absolutely.
goals. A
Absolutely.
lot of us out here functioning without no money goals. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah, that's very true. You're right too, you know, and even as a business owner, I see people, and even in my own experience, it was hard for me sometimes to charge certain things, especially being a therapist, but then even outside services, you know, trying to understand how much things I mean, how to charge and how to price your things, but also determining like, how much money do I want to make? And do I see that as being possible? Because I feel like we say, oh, I want to make this amount of money, but do you see that that is possible for you? Do you even know how to get there? So I think that's really important. Yeah.
Thank you for
Hmm.
mentioning that,
Yeah.
especially from the standpoint of a therapist, because, like you say, we don't want to charge late fees. We don't want to
Hmm.
charge no-show fees. Like,
Yeah.
I had a client the other day almost
Hmm.
rip my head off because they copay was charged. I said, "Well, what you want me to do?"
This is a part of your insurance payment. Like this is your financial obligation to pay. Like, you know, yeah, it is
So,
it's difficult.
but to that point too,
Yeah.
that client, from my understanding, they have a pretty high income. They're making over 100K a year.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was very confused when they were
Yeah.
upset about that $20 copay,
Yeah.
but that is the reality. You
Mhm.
could say you could look at, I'm sorry, you could see a family member or a friend making this high income, but they're still struggling financially. And one of my clients,
Mhm.
he ended up giving me the tea, girl. He like, yeah,
Really?
I can't stop gambling.
Wow. Yeah.
So
See.
sometimes it's not about earning it. Like you say, it's coming down to how are you managing? Are you using your
Mhm.
money for health or are you using it for other things, that's not really positive for you. So just wanted to
Absolutely.
share that.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. When you think about intimate relationships, you know, what is the breakdown to you? Like, how is money as a topic, you know, breaking down these intimate relationships? Like, what are you seeing happen?
Well, again, money values.
Hmm.
So I've had clients where the main breadwinner was the wife, and
Hmm.
the husband wasn't particularly fond of how the
Yeah.
wife was spending her money, right?
Hmm.
But I get where the husband was coming from. He wasn't my client. So just to be clear, he wasn't my client. The wife was working with me directly.
Okay.
But this was coming up as one of her concerns of, my husband is really upset with me all the time about how I'm spending
Hmm.
my money, and I just don't see the issue.
Yeah.
So again, you have to have agreed values. You have to have shared money goals when it comes to your
Hmm.
partnership to avoid conversations like such as that, such as, oh, you're overspending. We could be investing. We could be saving. What if a
Absolutely.
financial emergency happens? Because another thing I want to say is too, when you're earning a lot of money, if you don't know how to manage that money, you're going
Hmm.
to end up in debt. And that's
Hmm.
why sometimes on the outside looking in, your family and friends can say, well, you're making 200K a year. I don't understand why you can't come on this family vacation. They may not know that you're spending your money to self-medicate. They may not know that you're spending your money to gamble. They may not know that you can't control your impulsive shopping. So people are really dealing with financial concerns, I feel like, in secrecy. And
Hmm.
that's why I do the work that I do. That's
Yeah.
why, I present on money and mental health and suicide prevention, and I'm never gonna stop doing this. That's the most I can say about that is I'm never gonna stop doing it because it's a lot of stigma. And until that stigma
Absolutely.
is broken, I don't think, the work is done.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you completely. Do you think that do you think that it should be like when you consider intimate relationships like, you know, a married couple, for example, do you think that the money should be his and hers? Like how if you were advising them and coaching them a couple on this, what advice would you give them about like separating money and finances and going about that? Like I know you said in your
Mhm.
own you know, relationship, your own marriage, you had that struggle of, okay, well, let me just get myself together since you want to be lackadaisical about it. What would you say to them?
Right. So let me just start with if you're single, right?
Hmm.
If you're single and you're not partnered, let's say you live at home or you live with your parents, your
Mhm.
number one focus should be your earning potential. How can you manage the rate of how you're earning your income? So that could look like you trying to figure out how to earn more in less time. It could look like you trying to pass your license exam. That's where I was at one point in time, trying to get my full clinical
Mhm.
social work license. It could look like you trying to move out of your parents' house if you are still living with your parents. So, as an individual, you gotta first manage your own finances before you can consider to partner or merge finances. I would
Mhm.
say save, save, save. I would also say pause your serious dating, right? Now, this is coming from my morals and values. So, if you don't agree, it's
Absolutely.
totally fine.
It's okay. We
But
respect what you gotta say, okay?
but I would say pause serious dating because serious dating is meant for people who are looking to marry or are ready to marry. And I think a lot of people get caught up in this phase, right? To where they're like, I don't know what singlehood is. All I know is being coupled with someone. So, from that perspective, try to just maintain your own individuality as best you can. And if this is something you're struggling with, you may need to get to get help from a clinical therapist, or maybe some medication management might help you, because when we're dealing with things mentally, our brain fog takes over. And that takes over how we're showing up in our relationships. It takes over our behavior. We be making unconscious decisions and don't even realize it until we're dealing with those consequences. So, I would say if you're not really ready to marry, focus on yourself, your own individual finances. I would say if you're dating, don't merge finances unless you're for sure like I'm ready to take the next step with this person, because that's a whole different issue to get out of. I've had
Mhm.
clients before to where they got a car in their name for someone else and that
Mhm.
person didn't pay the car note, and then they had to deal with the debt, right?
Wow.
I've seen some things. So
Yeah, that's
when
hard.
it is, and
Mhm.
people, I'm just gonna speak for the Black community because
Yeah,
that's who I'm part of. We
absolutely.
don't take credit serious. We don't
Mm.
take it serious until it's hindering you from getting an apartment.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you're right. You are
Yep.
so right.
Until it's hindering your stability. So that's what I really want to share. If you're single and dating, baby, keep your independence. Don't
Mhm.
let nobody trick you into saying, oh, well, we dating. We need to, get a bank account together. No,
Mhm.
we don't, because you have to put your social security number on that paperwork, honey, to get that bank account. I'm just
Mhm.
saying this for the people that just may not know. Okay. If you already know, then okay. But
Yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
some people out there that just are unaware. And I don't
Mhm.
want nobody to be taken advantage of. I don't want nobody experiencing setbacks unnecessarily. So
Mhm.
protect yourself, protect yourself. As
Mhm.
a couple, to finish answering your question,
Mhm.
if you're already partnered, already living together, and you're in a healthy relationship, right? There's a difference between healthy and unhealthy relationships
Absolutely.
and deciding to stay.
Mhm.
So, if it's healthy, decipher what your number one financial goal is as a team, right?
Mhm.
Make a plan on how you're going to get there and execute it, okay?
Mhm.
And don't accumulate any more debt. I just feel like that's like the number one issue with couples is like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, we got $500 worth of credit at Sears. Sears ain't even
Mhm.
open no more, but let's
Right.
use Sears.
Yeah, yeah.
We got that $500 credit at Sears because you wanted those two winter jackets, and now
Mhm.
the credit card bill ain't paid, and both our names on the credit card, but you the one that wanted the jackets. That's the
Mhm.
type of stuff that create issues and arguments. And
Yeah.
yeah, just I would just say don't accumulate any debt unless y'all are truly, truly financially stable to where
Mhm.
y'all could safely, afford to lose some things. Some people can
Absolutely.
afford to lose, some can't. So.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, we're about to get ready to wrap up. So, what is there anything, in your work or in your personal experience that you feel like you want to share, with the people that maybe we haven't talked about that you think would be impactful? A question, advice, anything?
Mm. I would say, I would say for sure, just start with a solid foundation. Like
Hmm.
that's the most important thing when you're coupling and becoming partnered. You got to start with a solid foundation. You cannot operate off of maybes, hopefullys, what ifs, and all of that. Like,
Mm,
especially if you're a goal oriented person, don't put yourself through that stress. Like, it's okay to take a step back too, I would say, from dating. You know, if that's something you and your partner are not able to agree on, be
mm,
okay with figuring out your singlehood. Like
mm,
that's really how you start with a strong foundation. Is
absolutely.
when your individual finances are okay.
Yeah.
I will The last thing I want to say too is just always do your best to communicate with your partner,
Mm,
because that was my biggest issue after so long. How I had mentioned, sometimes you can have these conversations and they don't end up in a real
mhm,
result. I was just so burnt out from talking. Like, I would just come home sometimes and just be with my baby. Like, it was
mhm.
no real partnership. It was like, okay, you home, like, okay, like.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
just yeah, make sure your heart posture is always good too. So, yeah,
yeah.
those are the last, couple things I would share.
I love that. How can people contact you, events and things you have going on?
Yes, you can connect with me at BP Financial Coaching on Instagram.
Mhm.
On LinkedIn, I am BreAnna Bassett, LMSW, CFSW, and
Mhm.
CDVS level 2.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
find all those letters are behind BreAnna Bassett, and
Yes,
that's me.
absolutely. I
But
love it.
outside of the one-on-one coaching that I'm doing through Conscious Choices Therapy,
Mhm.
um, in the upcoming months, I'm going to be partnering with a media company to put on these virtual and in-person events for singles that are dating and that are looking to manage finances in a healthy way.
Mhm.
So it's a team of us. There are other people on the team that have a different focus, but my focus is dating and finances. Stay on my page, y'all, for when that drops, because
That's
we still in
dope.
the talks about it. It's still in work, so I don't want to say anything just yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are other people on the team that are experts in dating.
Mm.
There is a couple that's they're married, and that's their expertise. I think they're marriage or dating coaches, something like that.
Nice.
But yeah, be on the lookout, y'all. That's what
Yeah.
I have coming up next.
I love that. Yes, yes. Please follow Brianna on social media at BPF Financial F Coaching, right?
Yep, BP Financial Coaching.
BP
Financial.
Financial Coaching. Stay in touch, keep up, and reach out if you are looking for any financial coaching help. If you just have some questions and you want to book a call, please do so because she's amazing. She's such a genuine spirit, and I really appreciate you being here because you know all the things we had to go through today. They don't know, but we know all the things we had to go through today to make this
Yes.
happen. So I wholeheartedly appreciate you, Brianna, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you, you too. Thanks for having
Yeah, you're
me.
welcome. Absolutely. Bye bye.